I'm Moody, and I'm the #1 Simone student. She has opened my eyes to so many things about pickleball, but for me it was the third shot drop. Being a tennis player, I want to attack everything in sight. So the third shot drop just really showed me that there's more to this game than just that power attack. It's being able to actually construct that point to get those attacking shots, and that's just that's been the most difficult shot, I think, for myself, but the most important in my game. So yeah, check out that third shot drop video and see you on the court attacking that ball.
Number one, you want to make sure that you have a loose grip, right? So 10 out of 10, I'm squeezing super hard. 0 out of 10, it's loose in my hand, right? So I want to in between 3 or 4. So in order to absorb the ball, right? Otherwise, if I'm really tense, that ball you won't have as much control. Number 2, you want to make sure it's a push rather than an acceleration. So if you accelerate, meaning acceleration, a lot of people, what happens when they have a racket sport or any background, they have a tendency to want to go back, right? So when you're hitting a third shot drop, you want to make sure you don't go back. Oops. You don't want to go back. You want to push it forward. So as soon as you start your swing, you're really just keeping the same speed throughout the same movement rather than having an acceleration. All right, number 3, make sure that it's coming from your shoulder, right? It's not from your wrist or your forearm. It's really your shoulder doing the work. All right, so the first drill we're going to do, I'm going to have Simone behind the kitchen line, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna work on my way back, all right? So every time I'm hitting 2 dings, I'm gonna take 2 steps back, okay? So every time, step by step. Why I like this drill? Because it gets you into a rhythm. A lot of people, what they do, they start by dinking, then they grab the ball, and then they go all the way to the baseline, and they think it's a different stroke. It's really not anything different than your dink. It's really just a matter of following through a little bit longer every step you take back, right?
And one thing that you're going to notice, Catherine, is always taking the ball out in front. Contact point is huge. Can you walk us through where you're thinking of hitting the ball there?
I'm really thinking to hit it as low as possible, and as well as I wanted to Simone to not, I don't want her to take it out of the air when the ball is too deep. If I hit it too deep and she takes it out of the air easily, she can push me back, right? So I'm really trying to drop it about 3/4 of the court right here.
And a lot of people will ask me, so are you getting the ball on the rise? Where are you meeting the ball?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So a lot of people, they're in a hurry to move forward, right? So what they end up doing, they're taking the ball as it's peaking. So what happens? Their contact point, it's too close to their body, and the ball's gonna become way too high. So I make sure that really the secret to hit a good third shot drop is to let it bounce, and then on the way to the second bounce, I like to hit the ball right next below my knee. Okay, that's really when I'm gonna have a better hit for my third shot drop.
And then that way you can create that arc.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
a lot of people hit that shot very linear because they are meeting waist high. If you see Catherine when she's hitting, her ball is not linear. There you go. See that?
Okay, a lot of people, they stand here and they're square facing Simone without using their legs. So what happens? They have a tendency to follow through up rather than following through towards their target. Keep missing, right? Throughout the whole drill, I keep missing, and I'm about here. I'm gonna take 2 steps back in and restart again. All right? I really like this drill because it gets me into a rhythm rather than just thinking it's a different stroke.
And I think also a lot of people, like if you have the time to do it, where you can do, you have a whole court for yourself and go out and practice. We're doing straight ahead demonstrating because a lot of the times that's what you get, the half court. But also if you can, doing cross court, doing diagonal, because again, when we get to games and when we get to points, a lot of the times we are doing our dinks and our third shot drops cross court. 1, because the ball travels longer. 2, it gives me more time to come in. And also 3, the net is a little bit lower, so it gives me a little bit more room for error. So if we go cross court diagonal here, Catherine will go back and she can do the same thing. And she's working, and now, yeah, that's awesome.
And make sure, as I'm stepping back, I'm making sure that I'm stable, right? I'm not moving back at the same time as I'm hitting the ball. I want to make sure I'm stable so I can go forward with my motion. All right, and now we can do the same thing as well on the back and side. So this is the second drill we're gonna do. So I'm gonna have Simone, she's gonna be the feeder behind the kitchen line. So basically, she's gonna simulate a return, okay, from the kitchen line. I'm gonna be on the baseline, and I'm gonna work on my way up, all right? So I've gotta hit a good third shot drop in order to move up, right? And now we play out the point. Once I find a good third shot drop to move forward on, I'm gonna play out the point.
Ah, there you go.
I want to move forward as soon as I see Simone going down. So her paddle, when it's below the net, that's a pretty good sign that I just hit a good third shot drop. If I see her very comfortable behind the kitchen line and she's out here right above the net, I want to stay back until I find a good third shot drop to move on, move forward.
I'm not giving her any power because otherwise, we'll talk about later, you live with your choices. I do not need it. I don't want a bruise. Lob. Oh! Help with elbow. Ah! Oh. Ah, got me.
All right.
Nice.
All right, so now we're gonna do the same thing cross court, except kind of skinny singles, right? Except Simone's already behind the kitchen line, as if she already returned. She's returning, simulating a return, and we play out the point again.
But also there was a question for us earlier about when we were thinking what we were looking for. And what both Catherine and I are trying to do is move each other around. We want deeper dinks for sure, but we ought to make sure if we are going to hit a deeper dink, that they are on the move. Because if we are not on the move, it's very easy for us to take that ball out of the air and attack. So we want to make sure that right away our opponent is on the move and is on a stretch. Because again, we're trying to generate either an error or the ball that we can attack or counter. You heard Catherine talking a little bit about when is a good time to move up. So if you remember, she teaches the same way that we do, the green light, red light, and yellow light. So just remember that we have a video that talks a lot about this. So click the button right here to take you to that video, and that should recap a little bit what we were talking about. All right, guys, before we close, I just have a quick question because a lot of people always want to know, because when you get to a certain level, they always ask you, okay, what are you working on now? So my question for you today is, what is it that you're working on? What is the new, is it a new shot? Is it just something to get better? So what is it?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things I'm working on right now is to stand my ground when I'm behind the kitchen line. So once the ball becomes, harder, that let's say Simone's speeding it up, I want to make sure my body stays in a good stable, right? And I don't want to move backward and kind of jump. I want to stand my ground and keep the paddle out in front because I find myself sometimes getting a little too close to my body.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Any questions or comments, please feel free to put it right here. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mac Moody, and I'm the #1 Simone's student. So my biggest eye-opener was for, scratch that.